am super ultra paranoid of webcams, if y'all didn't know that. So I always like take them off when I do stuff, like go to the bathroom, even though you can't see in my bathroom, whatever. Okay, so we're on to Dasan Station again for the first map. That's the weirdest it can be, basically. Like, okay, no one beated it, whatever. Okay, it's last map. But if it's in the map that are guaranteed to be played, you're just like, what? But, a little bit more about, I guess, my situation in Korea. So this is a place I'm going to be staying for a month, so, like, really important that I don't anger people. It's actually, I'm on the women's only floor, which, you know, I didn't have, like, I didn't care, but it just was the way that the guy that helped me get the apartment, just the way the apartment was set up. I think the men's only is downstairs. And it is like, I'm right next to a university, like one of the biggest universities in Korea. And a women's university too. And it's just like, this place is like basically full of students. That's why you can get it for a month as opposed to longer contracts. Just because they're pretty used to people like dipping in and dipping out. Anyway, we are now into the best of 3 TVP. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, he is Stats. In the top left, as the red Terran, is GuMiho. So Dasan Station, you know, I talked a little bit about it last game about how just like the different matchups have to kind of play this because Dasan Station, they're going to play Dasan Station more than the matchup itself. And in PvP, I wasn't so sure that was going to be any different. It really wasn't. You know, they both still got the Blink Stalker Disruptor. The positioning engagements, like, a little bit different, clearly. Definitely Jayshi's downfall. But for TVP, there is for sure a huge difference in the usual way TVP is played. Protoss is definitely, especially like European Protosses, they just go Tempests, and it's super annoying if they can get to a lot of Tempests. And that's the way that you can play Dasan Station as opposed to any other map. I'm not so sure Stats is going to do that, but it's totally within the realm of possibility. On the flip side, GuMiho has potential to not just do a tank push like you would on any other map that's good for tanks, like Frozen Temple or Galactic Process. He's got an opportunity to really just like hit hard and fast, because the first abusive point, you know, this choke in the middle of the map, not something you just have to worry about, especially if you don't take the gold base, but then you have this choke a little bit, right, where the tanks are over here, and that's pretty worrying. And then again, if you still haven't taken the gold base, then they suddenly get right up against this little corner here, and it's actually right in your face, right on top of your production. And it can just happen so quickly that sometimes you just aren't prepared for it. So the Stargate opener on 1 base, especially since Stats scouted GuMiho's 1 base build, totally makes sense. Stargate basically is the good coverall for anything kind of weird going on, unless it's a Ghost Rush, basically. Ghost Rushes actually deal pretty well against Stargate openers. Kind of cute that GuMiho went Marines first and bothers them across the map. They seem so useless when you do that, but he tried. SV just chilling over here. This is kind of cool. I don't know if GuMiho was doing this on purpose, but he catches the Mothership Core, and whether or not he wins the Micro War, which he should, and I'm surprised that Stats stayed so long, he still got the Mothership Core very, very low. So if he was flying with like a Cyclone or something, then that she's going down, you know? This flipping probe. Of course, GuMiho wants to kill it so that Stats doesn't see exactly what's coming out of the production, or exactly when the command center goes down, but unfortunately, it gets a pretty good scout. It's going to be a Hellion follow-up, which clearly can't kill the Mothership Core, so she's just going to be, you know, super useful and, you know, do a Photon Overcharge. But it's interesting. The thing about Dasan Station is that you just do not want to wall off. You know, you don't even want to wall off in general on any other map, but especially on Dasan Station because of the tanks pushes that I was talking about. You have 3 pylons because you want to deal with Hellions super easily, then you're going to be 3 pylons down when the tanks start crushing you. The medevac's going to be cleaned up by the Phoenix eventually. The Wood Mine can pick up the Phoenix. Unfortunately, GuMiho probably should have kept that at home. You know, Stats had like amazing scouting. GuMiho's only just now getting scouting, and then, oh my god, are you kidding me? This is probably the worst opener I've ever seen for a Terran. In fact, it's game over, actually. It is actually game. That's it, guys. That's it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, GuMiho got wrecked. So that's what you call a you know, stomp. It's also the danger of one-base builds, and in particular, letting your opponent scout what your one-base build is. And when exactly it's hitting. Like, seriously, the probe scouted that the starport was still building, I believe. You know, I didn't know if it was a Viking or a medevac, but you can guess it's a medevac. So the timing was just, like, so perfect with the Oracle. And I didn't see the Widowmine being picked up, and that's the one thing that GuMiho could have done. If he had a Widowmine in the mineral line, but still had his Hellion Marine drop happen, okay, the Hellion Marine dies clearly with 2 Photon Overcharges, and the Phoenix chasing it, but at least the Oracle doesn't kill 12 plus workers, because it was going to do more damage just at the end of the game before it did. And that's just, you know, it's really like, okay, first of all, Dazzling Station, it's a weird map, and I chose a weird build, but then also, like, you just gotta be like, okay, I guess that's how that game went, let's just go into the next one, because GuMiho is so much better than what that made him appear like. And super quickly, we're into the next game. Frozen Temple. This should be GuMiho's jam, basically. Whether it's a 1-base build or a 2-base build, either way. He might even proxy and try and be like super cheesy, we'll see. In the top left, after a really quick game number 1, he is the blue Protoss stats. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, he is GuMiho. He's not proxying, but he could still go for a 1-base build. I honestly have so much faith in GuMiho's weirder builds, because at this point they're not even that weird. Like, Terran 1-base builds and proxy builds and Cyclone builds and tank builds and everything else, right? They are played so often that it's no longer like, what? He proxied a factory, what's he doing? But GuMiho does do them all, which makes him still like the threat in that way. Like, he can literally do any of the builds. And anyway, GuMiho can do whatever, and I could be like, okay, he's gonna get damage onto the micro. Unless an Oracle swoops in and finds him without any defenses. So whether it's a 1-rax expand into a tank push, or a 1-base Cyclone harassment into push, which I think it's gonna be a 1-rax expand, GuMiho can do it, basically. And Sats should be legitimately afraid of GuMiho if he's not going to get some significant damage done. You know, if an Oracle doesn't kill 10 workers, or if their depths don't get into the mineral line, if he is just forced to be the defensive Protoss, it's a scary map to play on. So the probe's going to take a bit of a detour. It doesn't want to be caught by the Reaper, which, you know, Reaper's only just now on the way out. I don't think it's going to... No, I actually might put on a pylon. Oh, okay, so we might do a proxy Stargate. Can you blame him, though? Like, last game worked out so well. Going for a proxy Stargate again would make a lot of sense. Just hope that GuMiho is also doing like a 1-base build, which is a... I would say even like as high as a 50-50 possibility that GuMiho goes for a 1-base build on Frozen Temple, and even more so goes for a proxy build. So you can see that Sats kind of took a weird way around, because usually the proxy factory and whatever else is down here. So he knows it's not a proxy, unless GuMiho's doing very weird things and putting him like way over here, which he's done before. And now he's just kind of banking on the fact that GuMiho will once again not have proper defenses in place. And the Oracle should get a couple of kills at least. But with it being a more standard build from GuMiho, it really should not be game-ending. Reaper, very close to death. Luckily, Adepts take forever to shoot, though, so usually don't get that last shot. Stargate Opener is going to be the first scout for stats, which is always kind of funny, but the 1-1-1 opener for Terran is so popular, that's usually what you can rely on. Even if it was a 3-rax opener, like, that still doesn't help you very much against the Oracle unless your army's in position. So whatever it is, as long as you get the scout, in fact, he's going to get the scout not just a factory in a 1-1 build, but also, like, that it's a Cyclone and whatever else comes out of that starport. Reaper's definitely going to scout the 3rd base timing, which I'm pretty sure Stats is going to get as soon as possible. Yep, there's the probe. I mean, to follow up the proxy Stargate with some all-in is always like a cheeky, you know, really aggressive thing to do, but Stats has been showing us, you know, even the last PvT, that it is Stargate Opener into fast 3rd base. And this is a very fast 3rd base. Like, 5 minutes is pretty safe. 3:30 is obviously something that is... it should be scary, but really isn't, because the Terran just doesn't have anything to do against it. The most that GuMiho could do would be send his 2 Cyclones over there, and, like, in the best case miracle scenario, get a cancel on the third base. It just doesn't happen that way, though. And because the Oracle's revealed itself, got like 1 or 2 kills, the Cyclone, one of the Cyclones has to stay back home. And in the off chance that they don't, and you have your medevac on the way with Marines, or you have, you know, whatever else coming over the way, that's where your Phoenixes come in. So the Oracle happens to scout the medevac, which is nice, so the Phoenix can be just routed right to it. Adepts can get underneath the medevac too, as these are, you know, definitely basic Marines. And there you go. GuMiho just really doesn't have a lot of potential with this push, or this drop, rather. Maybe it's like a couple of probes. Without the mothership core, you don't have to actually worry about pylons, which I think he's recognized as a mothership core. There's the 2 Cyclones. This Oracle could go... Oh, no, it's a Phoenix, my bad. But if a second Oracle had been made, it could have gone into the main base and really wreaked havoc, but the Phoenix are just still helpful. They're going to pick up the Cyclones. They can't chase the medevac because of it, but killing the Cyclones means that this is once again back just being a simple drop, which is very easy to not take damage, you know, from. The Oracle snipe at the last second of the Cyclones is actually pretty cool, though. No revelation to worry about. This medevac was doing something. She's going back home now. But the rally didn't really work out, and GuMiho, I guess, was still rallying and realized his mistake now, but third base comes down for him. One thing he did manage to do was stop stats from, well, macroing, first of all, correctly. He gets supply blocks. Let's point that out, you know, stats, supply blocking. But also, if there was going to be a transfer of workers, they couldn't transfer. They couldn't be rallied to the third base when there's an army in front of you. So, even though the third base is still later for GuMiho, it's not nearly as extreme as it can be when the Protoss gets that 330 Nexus after a Stargate. Phoenix is, once again, just like that 3 that's scary enough for the Terran to not drop again, unless they're very bold. Even if they can't kill the medevac that quickly, they're still dealing damage and eventually killing the medevac. I think he's gonna go for a frontal push here. He doesn't have stim, he doesn't have combat shields, he's only just on getting more barracks. If he loses this army, he really doesn't have a lot of production. But the idea is that this army is so microable that it just, you know, it should be a problem. Oh, gateways are now on the way. This is hitting right before that production burst, so it was probably a little bit scary for stats, especially if he loses the pylon so easily. But again, this isn't a very... there's so much micro that it is a scary army, but if there's not that magnificent micro, then it's really not that scary of an army. And pylons are kind of like the bane of its existence, because if it doesn't kill a pylon fast enough, it's actually a ton of damage. Well, the Adept's gonna look for a bit of a surround. The Cyclones almost end up getting a Phoenix. That would have been really nice. Immortal pops out to help out a little bit here, but I think it's more about the surround. Phoenix gonna pick up the Cyclones to at the very least break lock-ons, so even if they die, they get a couple more shots, not the lock-on damage. Medevacs pick up what they can, but the Phoenix is dead, and the Mothership Core dead too now, even though she didn't have energy. Medevacs kind of reign free here. When you go for the Stargate opener, you don't go automatically into Blink Stalkers, so you really don't have to worry about being killed. There's definitely one benefit to killing the only anti-air that Stats really had. He'll get Blink after Resident Glaze, of course, but still a ways off. Oh no, Adepts! Oh, wait a second. That is a lot of Adepts, though. So one of the definite worries here is, I brought that up as the push was happening, was that if the push was cleaned up, especially if he had literally lost everything in these medevacs, there's just no army for GuMiho. He only has a couple of barracks just now finishing up and getting all the research done. So I like his emergency wall. It's really going to help out against the Adepts. He does manage to unload the medevacs without them being automatically target fired. Unfortunately, the wall doesn't hold for very long. A bunker is kind of helpful, but not even that much, and maybe the Adept is going to be the answer here. Now doubling the army supply of GuMiho, he's out of those really microable units. The Widowmine's trying to get a good shot. They actually get a pretty damn good shot, and GuMiho's army is actually just medevacs now. I think this is it. And that is definitely one of the problems with being overly aggressive, especially on the smaller maps. It seems so tempting, because you can rally forward immediately, but it also means the counterattack is just that much quicker. GG. Stats 6-2-0. And get a win for him, basically. Another win, I suppose. As he did just win against Jieshi. Next match is going to be... Shut up, Alaric. Next match is going to be GuMiho versus Alive. It'll be a TvT in the second to last match of the day. So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll get in the next best of 3 once the videos are done. See you soon.